Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We're running slightly behind at the moment, and that is only because here in New Zealand, they have decided to cut off the feed for this contest. For some reason, they're having a few problems with what game is taking place. It is Fiji versus Great Britain, ladies and gentlemen, and I believe they have just kicked off, but in the starting lineup for the Fijians, like I mentioned, they aren't showing it in New Zealand at the moment, but as soon as they do show it, we will let you know what is happening. But Nai Kalsa, Josefa Talatholo, Filippo Bukiyaro, Georgie Nasova, Sivaloni Mothinothangi, Vatima Rivovo, and Kiminelli Risaku will be the starting lineup for the Flying Fijians. For GB, it is Alex Davis, Morgan Williams, Kalen Barreto, Ethan Waddleton, Max McFarlane, Robbie Ferguson, and also Harry Glover. So an important game for both of these sides. The Fijians, they didn't quite pull off the first victory like they were after. They were defeated by the USA, whereas Great Britain in their game up against Ireland, I feel like at times there were some nice things happening for that side. And at the moment, I believe it's all about trying to build outside of that top, or get into that top 8 rather than being outside of the top 8 of the competition. But currently in the contest, it is 0-0 between these two sides. I will hopefully be able to see it here in New Zealand very soon. Like I said, Sky Sport decided that this game was not one that was available to watch, which is rather annoying, as they have completely taken away the channel that it was on. Oh, and my screen just went black. That is not ideal either. But hopefully you guys are all doing well. You've been enjoying the Sevens coverage all throughout the day. The way that it currently sits, it does still say that it is 0-0 between these two sides, although now Great Britain seem like they have been able to get themselves their first try of the contest, which once again would be ideal if we could see it here in New Zealand. Not ideal, right as the start of the game. The worst thing is we just finished watching the game between Australia, and I believe they were playing, I can't even remember who they were playing to be honest, but they did win relatively one-sided in that contest. That may have also been up against Great Britain, but now, yeah, it seems like the coverage has cut out. We'll go live. There we go. We're good. 2 minutes in, we've found the coverage. That one's hit the post for Kalen Barreto, so it does mean that the score at the moment will remain 5-0 in favour of GB. So once again, a side doing relatively well in the early stages up against this Fijian side. Now, Fiji were able to get themselves the early try up against the USA, managing to score it in only the 17 or so seconds. Currently 5-0 down up against GB. It's been said many times, Great Britain need this win much more than the Fijians need it, although for the confidence booster of Fiji, of course they'd love to be able to get themselves the victory. But Robbie Ferguson now getting ready to kick this one off. Currently got a cotton bud stuffed up the nose to try and stop some bleeding, which of course does happen when you go head-to-head with this Fijian side. Josefa Talatholo, loose ball picked up by Ethan Waddleton. So he just manages to stay in the field of play. It was close to a knock-on in the breakdown from the Great British side. They are now still in possession. Kalen Barreto looking for a gap. He's been lined up by the Fijian defence, and there's been a slip, which means Ferguson carves his way straight through, and it's going to be a second try of the match for GB, who now have a 10-0 lead over the Flying Fijians. These type of matches are always hard to judge in terms of how both sides are going to be able to perform, but this so far has been much better from GB, from the short amount of time that we've seen. I assume the first try was a relatively similar one. Robbie Ferguson carves through the gap and gets the try for Great Britain. But 12-0 now the scoreline at the moment. See, there is disappointment on the face of the Fijian players, but that kick has gone over from Kalen Barreto, so that makes the score 12-0. Like I mentioned, they are currently ranked 9th. Their goal is not only to win, but it's to get a lot higher up than the USA in the overall standings. If they can somehow stop the USA from making it to the next stage, which those two sides are going to be playing each other in the very near future, if they can stop the USA from advancing, they will put themselves in a good position to have half a chance of making out outside of that group. Now, they did lose their game up against the Irish, 19 points to 5. So that's a little bit concerning. There's going to be a penalty here, and this seems like it's going to be a yellow card for one of the Fijian players. In this case, it's going to be Georgie Nasova, who is sent off the field. I mentioned about it in the last contest for the Fijians as well. It's these young guys who are now just coming into the side, whether that's Georgie Nosova, whether that's Vitimo Rivovo or Viliami Naikalsa. They're the ones at the moment that are dragging the chain and aren't quite performing at the level that the senior players of this Fijian side are. And it's been hurting them quite badly, because when you do concede 2 early tries and now you're playing with only 6 men on the field rather than the 7, you're always going to be up against it. Now, Kalim Burrito about to feed this ball in. Like they've just said, Fiji have not won a title this year, but they haven't had a terrible overall calendar because they are still inside of the top 3. But Burrito going back across to the left, skip pass. Might have been a little bit forward, but it has rolled into touch. And Fiji now will have themselves the possession. About to take on this throw here for the Flying Fijians. Looks like they're going to go for the line out instead. So Filippo Bucchiaro, 2 minutes remaining in this first half. The ideal scenario for Fiji is to score themselves back-to-back tries and be back to an even playing field when we go into the second 7 minutes. And try and build upon a lead there, but off to the left-hand side with 6 men on the field. Chance out wide, decides to cut on the inside. Beautiful run in here from Kiminelli Rasaku. It's really been one of the shining lights of this Fijian side, even during the times when they've been struggling. Here's Josefa Talatholo out on the wing, taken down by Burrito and also Ethan Waddleton. In fact, they almost were able to hold that man up. Now off to the right-hand side, Tosaviti Tosso says Avakesh there. Another step from Rivovo. Talafolo back across again to the left-hand side, looping around. Nice stepping from Kiminelli Rasaku. Couldn't find the offload, fell onto his back the wrong way, and GB get themselves another penalty. Hang on. We got a bit of a stoppage here. I think that's Harry Glover. That ended up landing on his head awkwardly. Is this going to be another card for Fiji for an awkward clean out? Just going to be checking this one. They're just saying potentially a dangerous clean out against one of the Fijian players. This would be a really dumb penalty to give away. Definitely if they do end up with a yellow or a red card from it, Fiji would pretty much be saying we're going to be 2 games down at this stage. We're going to see it now. It's Rivovo. Just drops him on his head. I don't think he purposely did it. Like Carlton Nunna's just said, it's just ended up that Harry... Oh no, it's a dangerous clean-out apparently. It's going to be a yellow card for this one. So pretty much what's happened is Glover's put his body weight fully forward. Rivovo's pulled him forward. And because Glover wasn't completely, let's be honest, supporting his body weight, he's fallen forward and crunched his neck. But that, I don't think, can be fully blamed on Rivovo in that case. But either way, it's going to be 2 of those 3 players that I said were letting Fiji down now in the bin. The only one now to get another card would be Naikalsa, and then all of a sudden, all 3 men are off the field. And come on, Fiji, what's going on? See, here's Blues Nate. Yeah, they've been struggling a little bit. Tell you what, that Blues-Rebels game sitting relatively close at the moment, Blues Nate. I'm sure that it's a little bit closer than some people were anticipating, including myself. We're now going off to the left-hand side. How to Kiwi lads. See, here's Blues Nate there. Offload to Robbie Ferguson, who has dropped that ball. Fiji, with their knock on, it means that Georgie Nosova will be able to return from the bin. I'll be making changes at halftime if I'm the Fijian coach. I think Taria Vailawa needs to be out there on the park. I think that they need to look to that bench for more experience, whether that's Ioani Teba or that's Ponepati, Logan Amasi, Satoranga, Menueli Moisamo. They've got plenty of options here. And maybe they've come into this game thinking that it was going to be a little bit easier than it has been. Have to be very careful not to let this one slip away. And GB will be fighting for every little bit in this contest because they need it. Yes, Hamish injuries moving and on both sides. Says Blues Nate. Yeah, I saw that Rico Ioani was a little bit of a concern right at the end of the half. Beautiful run there. Taken down well. It's going to be offside. Advantage in favour of the Fijians. Kiminelli Rasaku. Flat ball. Now trying to get back to his feet. Wasn't quite able to. Filippo Bucchiaro feeds it off to the right-hand side. Here comes Naikaisa. Ball on the inside to Josefa Talatholo. thought about another offload there. Of course, Fijians, unless you tie up those hands, they're going to be looking to get that next pass away. Seva Mothenothangi going away on the left-hand side now, stepping from Georgina Sova, and who has already found himself in the bin for this contest. The advantage is over for the Fijians. Seva Mothenothangi, again, looking for another gap. Offloaded back, Talathola from a standing start here for the Fijians. Bounce pass to Filippo Bocchiaro. He tried the offload. It's going to go forward, and they'll go into halftime. 12-0 down here for the Fijians. So I think that team that will be more than happy with that will be Great Britain. Sitting 12 points to 0 up over a Flying Fijian side who, I'll be honest, in that first half just didn't really look like they were quite ready for this contest, which is a massive shame. I mean, we know how strong the Fijians can be. Next game that we are covering as well, for anyone wondering, will be South Africa versus Samoa. So I highly recommend checking out that contest. That will be at 11:15 New Zealand time. So in about 35 minutes time is when that one is going to be starting. I mentioned about the technical difficulties at the start of this live stream. Luckily, they have all been sorted, and we are going to be good to go for that next match. But do let me know, ladies and gents, 12-0 down. If there's any side on the World Rugby circuit who have a good chance of coming back from a scoreline like that, it is, of course, the Flying Fijians. But the bigger question is, are they in the right mindset, and can they do it in this contest where they have been struggling a little bit in terms of being able to find that rhythm? They've had 2 yellow cards already, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get a third heading into the second half. But GB, they'll be more than happy, like I said, with where they are sitting. They just need to back it up, and they can't take their foot off the gas. In terms of betting odds at the moment for this contest, the Fijians, I believe, are actually underdogs, which you don't see too often for the Flying Fijians. Definitely not in a game of Rugby Sevens. Just looking here. Hopefully I can find it in terms of the exact odds rather than just who is the obvious favourite at the moment. And I don't know if I can find... There we go, in play, that's what we want. The TAB had an update, so I'm very lost ever since they decided to do that. Okay, they don't actually have the odds for this game by the looks of it, but at least not on the TAB. But currently, the way that it sits, GB are slight favourites to go on and win this game, but only just, which should tell you how strong this Fijian side can be in a second half. They've got Toria Bailawa, they've got Sato Ranga, they've got Manueli Mai-Samoa, they have got numbers off the bench that can make an impact. That ball is going to be slapped back onto the side of GB, and they've got the opportunity to score an early try. They're only 10 metres out from the line now. Firing it off, Kalen Barreto. Goes one more to Robbie Ferguson. Flat pass, goes through the hands of Alex Davis, and it is a knock-on. So they'll go back for the scrum feed. He's disappointed. That could have been the chance that Great Britain needed. Just slips through the fingertips, and they'll look back at that moment, Great Britain, if this game does go in a slightly different direction later on. Is that going to be a moment that they end up regretting? Going to be a scrum feed now. Like they've just mentioned, the USA, they are 7 points ahead of Great Britain, which does mean theoretically Great Britain need to finish maybe 4 spots ahead of where the USA finish for the chance of being able to get out of that relegation zone and having the USA then drop down. That is the big change that can take place. Of course, Spain and Samoa still want to be in the running, but more than likely it is that battle between Great Britain and the USA. Now, nice attack and run from Georgina Sova, sitting 15 metres out from his try line, and they have got themselves the penalty here yet again, the Flying Fijians. They're going to take the quick tap. It is a little bit risky, but at the end of the day, you're in that situation, you might as well. He's gone for the grubber there. Josefa Talatholo does the kick forward again. Currently, Great Britain are chasing him. Ball's bouncing awkwardly. Now it sits up for him. He reaches out, and it's the try for the Fijians. Between the posts he goes, Josefa Talatholo, and they're back into the contest now for the Fijians. They were down by 12. They decide to take the quick tap 10 metres out from their own line, and then the kick in behind from Josefa Talatholo. Great control of the ball. And tell you what, it was very close for Great Britain to be able to stop him. But he reaches out. Morgan Williams tried his best to stop him. That kick is also going to be successful. And that now makes the score 7 points to 12. Still in favour of Great Britain. But Fiji are now back into this contest. A 19 in the points differential for the USA at the moment. Great Britain are sitting -9. Fiji are actually at the at the bottom of the group, according to the points differential as it currently sits and the points. Manueli Mai, he is now on the field though, so I feel like for the Fijians, they're going to find their second wind and really start to ramp it up. Josefa Talafolo goes off to the left-hand side to Manueli Mai. And GB just needs some position. They haven't really had too much of it in the last 2 or 3 minutes. Now Rasaku thought about the wide cutout pass and now manages to find it to Josefa Talatholo. Has the man with him on the inside, but he's knocked it on. The experienced veteran. I think that for Talafolo there, the ball's just slipped out of the grasp. Ferguson dropping that ball off the kickoff gave Fiji probably about an extra minute or so of possession. And just hit the hand of Glover and knocked it out of his hands, and could have been a try-saving effort there from that man. 4 minutes remaining inside of their 22 now. It is going to be Great Britain with the feed. So far we've seen 5 missed tackles from Great Britain. Or in fact, 5 from Fiji and 4 from Great Britain. Looks like Emery now is making his way onto the park as well here for Great Britain. These are the final moments and the most important for these two sides. But there's still plenty of time. Like I mentioned, anything can happen in a game of sevens. Even if you've got 1 minute remaining, you've still got a very good chance of being able to get yourself back in a contest. Fiji are now favourites as well, ladies and gentlemen, even though they are down by 5. That just tells you how dangerous this side can be. But Barreto goes across now to the right-hand side. That was almost high, but it's a towering tackle there. But the penalty goes against Georgina Sova for not rolling away. Now Great Britain will be able to use up around 30 seconds or so. It looks like they're actually going to take the scrum, though, from inside of their 22. A little bit of a risky tactic for GB, but they are right in the middle of the field, so better option. They're missing touch. 5 penalties have been awarded in this game, 4 of which have been against the Flying Fijians, and 2 of which, of those 5, have been yellow cards for Fiji. Now Ioane Temba has made his way onto the field. They are mentioning once again the last time that man was on the circuit, Fiji took away a gold medal. They haven't got themselves one as of yet in 2024-23 season. Through the legs. Emery now looking to try and step through. Fijian defence holding strong for now. Barreto goes back across. Great step there from the big man. Kalen Barreto, another offload, this time to Alex Davis. They've got numbers here, GB. If they look to use them, stepping on the inside, losing his footing, gets back up to his feet. But that stalls enough time for the Fijian defence to retreat. Manueli Mai very close to being offside there. Barreto with a terrible pass. It's going to be jumped on by GB. They've still got possession almost through the gap. Fantastic run from Harry Glover, running it with one hand, and through they go. Alex Davis, he's popped it up, and that should be the try. It's gone just backwards enough, and Emery scores it between the posts for GB. That could almost be the game, but there's still time left on the clock. But 15th try for Tom Emery there. Great run from Alex Davis. And then just not enough pace to be able to score the try himself, but stayed composed, got the pop pass up on the inside, and it went straight into the hands of Tom Emery. May have travelled partially forward, but only very marginally. It was probably flat enough for it to be play on, and Emery gets himself the try. GB, with 110 seconds left on the clock, have got themselves the lead 19 points to 7. And now we are at even more of the business end of this matchup. Only about a minute and a half remaining now after that kick has been taken place. Burrito about to kick this one off. Fiji need 2 quick fire tries. If they get themselves 1 try, they will be within 7. So that would give them the bonus point. Something that they weren't able to get in the game up against the USA. Like they've just said, Great Britain playing to try and get out of their relegation zone. Quick tap taken by the Fijians. It looks like they will just have to take the quick tap here. Here comes Ioane Teba. 80 seconds now left. Ball on the inside to Felipe Saturanga. Looks like the Fijians at the moment haven't been able to quite find that next gap in the second half. Josefa Talatholo going to be tackled by Ethan Waddleton. Takes it to ground, but that was a massive mistake. Almost ended up giving away the penalty to Rio Valawa coming off the bench. I have no idea why they are not playing that man for more than 2 minutes a game, because he is a superstar. Perhaps trying to save him for the Olympics. Saturanga. Ball on the outside again. Big run from Talatholo. Someone's mouth guards come out. It's going to be picked up by the Fijians with Felipe Saturanga. Still 45 seconds remaining. Fiji running low on time. It looks like they've still got one more attack in them. Here comes Turia Valawa. Beautiful pass on the outside. Pace down the wing. Ioane Teba running it round. It's going to be a finish and a try for the Fijians, who once again just don't give up in a contest till the final whistle. That is his first try back in a Fijian kit. Ioane Teba, he thought about trying to run it right round, but it didn't seem worth it to take up too much more of the time remaining. Plus, he had a man right on him trying to stop him from being able to put that ball down. But for the Fijians, the kick is good. So now we've got one more kickoff. Fiji are 14 points to 19 down, and they will be kicking this ball off Fiji. So they are sitting with a bonus point at the moment. They've gone short and it's slapped back. Fiji will get the last possession of this matchup. Tario Vailawa. They've left it extremely late, Fiji, but they've still got one more chance. Felipe Saturanga puts the grubber forward and he's knocked the ball on. If he hadn't knocked it on, it could have been a chance, but that ball, unfortunately for him, did not sit up nicely. And that is going to be the end of the contest. Hang on. I don't know if Felipe Saturanga knocked that ball on. Did he get half a touch of a fingertip here? I don't think he's knocked that on. And that means Fiji, they will lose this game by 5. Unfortunately, it is going to be their second loss of the group. Little bit controversial, but at the end of the day, they just left it too late. You can't afford to have to score 2 tries in the last 40 seconds, even if you are the Fijians. But in the end, 19 points to 14, the win for Great Britain. And now Fiji have to look forward to their next contest, where they will be going head-to-head with none other than the Irish. That is going to be a tough game. They're going to try and book themselves that 3rd place in the group. They will receive the bonus point, which will be slightly rewarding depending on how they finish in the overall groups. But nonetheless, the next game that we are covering, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be 11:15 p.m. Who's winning in the Blues game? At the moment, in that game between the Blues and the Rebels, I know at halftime there was only 1 point in it. At the moment, the Blues are leading 24 points to 11, so they've now taken a bit more of a lead in their contest. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We'll be back in 20 minutes for that game between South Africa and Samoa. I will see you all for the next one.